Fall is underway and we'll take a deeper look into a pumpkin patch. Also a silent auction for a good cause. And we'll show you how pioneers once lived in the 4 states.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, thank you for joining us. This is your KOAM News at 9. I'm Jalen Banks. The Old Yale Farm is hosting the community of Pittsburgh to its annual pumpkin patch celebration. The farm hosted different activities such as tractor riding, mini golfing, hay riding, gold mining, tie-dye, and barrel riding. One supervisor says that the patch is a place for bonding.
I think it brings, joy to everyone in the family because, it's a good place for the family to come. It's good bonding time. I know in the fall it can be hard to have some bonding time because of the sports and Friday night football games and everything. So I think it's a good time for families to come and be together and, it's good bonding time.
The Old Yale Farm is open on Saturdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Harbor Village Museum is celebrating its history today. The museum celebrates its history by demonstrations of different events such as churning butter, hearth cooking, making sausages, old-fashioned games, gardening, and making dyes. And Executive Director Reynolds says what the museum's history represents.
And so for us, it not only represents ecology, it represents history, and it gives our students hands-on education to be able to provide the knowledge of what we used to do and how we used to live.
Reynolds says the site gets over 200 visitors daily. First Free Will Baptist held their roundup today. The event featured horseback riding for kids, cornhole tournaments, and a lawnmower train. The event gives parents an opportunity to catch up and fellowship.
I think the energy for the event this year, people love horseback rides and they love good food. The adults get to sit and visit, which not very often do you have a time where you get to sit outside on Sunday afternoons like the good old days and sit around and visit with each other and then have the kids entertained while you're there.
To find more events such as this one, you can find them on our website at koamnewsnow.com. The 9th annual Mount Moriah silent auction took place today. The auction is to help fund different events that they hold for the youth throughout the year. Some of the items from the auction included historical pieces from the old church. It also featured a baked potato feed and a bake sale.
Well, this is a great opportunity. You can come get something to eat and have a good time and fellowship. It's not just it's not just a fundraiser. This is a family fun night. It's always a big event for my family to come and bid against each other and try to get something.
Mount Moriah is located at 15506 Nutmeg Road in Carthage. The vestiges of Hurricane Fiona is causing damage in Canada as the Sunshine State prepares for the arrival of its first major storm of the season. Fox Weather's Brandy Campbell has that story.
Canada's northeastern provinces still reeling after getting slammed by the remnants of Fiona. The military now getting involved in cleanup efforts.
This is an all-hands-on-deck effort, and I know that our Canadian Armed Forces will rise to the challenge, as they always do.
Fiona leaving a trail of damage despite being weakened to a post-tropical cyclone by the time it made landfall. People living there foresee a long recovery effort.
It's devastating. Never have seen that ever. Power lines, old trees down that have been there for years, So it's a serious problem right now.
Meanwhile, Florida is buckling down for its first major storm of the season. Ian, currently churning in the Caribbean, is expected to strengthen significantly over the next 24 hours. Governor DeSantis and President Biden have both made emergency declarations to free up resources and disaster relief. Officials warning people above all to have a plan.
Knowing when to evacuate and also where would you evacuate?
Several sandbagging locations opened up over the weekend. Floridians stocking up on everything they need to ride out the storm.
A few days worth of bottled water, non-perishable food items, batteries of different sizes, flashlights, at least 2 weeks worth of medications.
Now, it's still unclear where Ian will hit the hardest, but it is expected to hit western Cuba early Tuesday. I'm Brandy Campbell reporting in Miami for Fox Weather.
Well, we'll continue to keep an eye on it. Sam, what do you have for us?
Yeah, just looking at some late data, it looks like they are expecting the National Hurricane Center for Ian to really go through rapid intensification in the next 24 to 36 hours. Right now, it's down in the central Caribbean. It's moving to the north and west, and by tomorrow afternoon will be a Category 1 hurricane. Then as we go through Tuesday afternoon, it's expected to go all the way up to a 3 category. And you can see on the cluster here of the spaghetti models, the models are very much in agreement that it's going to be passing over the western part of Cuba by Tuesday afternoon. But then, as we go through time, by Wednesday afternoon at 1 o'clock, a Category 3 hurricane just off the western coast of Florida. And again, you can see the models are kind of clustered together, bringing the path a little bit closer to the Tampa area. Then as we go through time, it looks like it barely skirts to the west of Tampa, up into the Forgotten Coast, which is along the northwestern coast of Florida by Thursday afternoon. So it's going to be a very, very powerful storm. And then eventually we'll move up into southern Georgia and start to peter out a little bit by Friday afternoon, but still causing lots of flooding and even tornado activity for them. I'll be back with our forecast coming up in just a little bit.
As people are gearing up for the midterms, the economy remains as a top concern for many voters. Republicans are rolling out their new midterm blueprint, dubbed the Commitment to America. Similar to the party's 1994 contract with America, the agenda focuses on the economy, law and order, and government accountability. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson is in Delaware, where President Biden is spending the weekend.
One number that jumps off the page, that new ABC Washington Post poll, 39. Only 39% of registered voters approve of the job President Joe Biden is doing. And here's another number that jumped out. Only 35% of registered Democrats want Biden to run again for president in 2024. A majority of Democrats want someone else. On Fox News Sunday, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik made her pitch to the voters.
America needs a change of course. We need true leadership in both the House and Senate who will focus on the crises that hardworking families are facing across this country. So, of course, Democrats are going to attack because, Shannon, they can't run on their record because it's a record of crisis and failure.
Republicans think they will win over independent voters on the issues of inflation, crime, education, and energy. Senator Joe Manchin is trying to attach an oil and gas permit to the short-term spending bill to get a pipeline built in West Virginia, his home state, of course. Congress needs to pass that bill by Friday to keep the government running. Manchin also appeared on Fox News Sunday.
We can't build anything in America. It takes 5 to 10 years. The developed world takes 1 to 3 years. And why should we be so far behind the developed world to bringing products to market, to be able to have the infrastructure to move energy around? And we're asking people around the world to do things for us we won't do for ourselves.
Gas prices were declining for 3 straight months this summer, but now they're back on the rise over the past 5 days. Many economists are concerned that food prices will also continue to increase as inflation continues to hover at 40-year highs. In Wilmington, Delaware, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
We now take this time to honor one of our 4-state heroes. Corporal Glenn Crumbliss, a Neosho, Missouri native, served during World War II. He served in both England and Germany. During World War II, he flew 21 bombing missions over Germany. To Corporal Glenn Crumbliss, we thank you, our 4-state hero. And coming up, we take a look at a new study seeing an increase in drug use in teens. There are 2 abortion laws on the books in Arizona. One was passed by the state legislature this year, and the other was passed in the 1800s, before Arizona was a state. Fox's Marissa Sabrick has more.
On Friday afternoon, a Pima court judge lifted an injunction that was placed on Arizona's abortion statute.
Right now, in Arizona, abortions are illegal. A total ban on all abortions throughout our state.
It's a law that's been on the books since Arizona's territorial days. The Supreme Court's initial decision in Roe v. Wade in 1973 superseded it until this year when the High Court overturned their ruling. This decision will not impose legal consequences on Arizona women getting an abortion. It makes it a crime for Arizona doctors that perform these procedures, like Dr. Baharak Tabarsi. The family physician says this will affect women without the financial means to travel for medical care they need.
I cannot imagine living in a state where my body is now once again controlled by my government.
These political games will only hurt women and will permanently alter their lives.
Pro-life doctors are pleased with the court's ruling. Dr. Erica Kreller says she has never performed an abortion on a patient and never will.
Abortion is the intentional ending of a life. They want to open the floodgates and make it entirely available to anybody who wants it at any time without any oversight, any medical care, anything like that.
But Saturday is exactly 90 days since the legislative session closed, meaning the laws Governor Doug Ducey just signed, including a 15-week abortion ban, go into effect.
Confusion. And the confusion right now is you have the 15-week legislature law, and you have a judge who said that all abortions are illegal. So eventually what's going to happen is the Court of Appeals or the Arizona Supreme Court will have to make a decision on which law is the correct law.
The law from the 1800s bans all abortions except to save the life of the mother. More teenagers are using cannabis or vaping in their free time. That's according to new research by Columbia University. Analysts studied the data of 530,000 teens nationwide between 1991 and 2019. They found that smoking and drinking decreased in this time frame, but vaping and weed consumption rose when the teens were alone. The report says between 2017 and 2019, vaping surged from 7 to 17%, while marijuana use increased from 3 to nearly 10%. Researchers also found that adolescents involved in sports or other extracurricular activities were less likely to use any substances compared to those who were not enrolled in any. And Sam Lane is up next with a complete look at the forecast. But later, what Costco plans to do with their membership numbers.
Boy, what a beautiful day to end the weekend with nice temperatures, north winds, drier conditions. It was just a great day out there in comparison to yesterday where we broke a record of 94 degrees. Right now it's a pretty nice evening down in Indigo Sky Casino and Resort in Seneca, Missouri, as well as across the entire four-state area. This morning we woke up to very pleasant temperatures, generally in the upper 50s to lower 60s across the area. Double nickel up in Yates Center, 57 in Fort Scott and Nevada, also over in Lamar and Greenfield. Here in Joplin, 62, 66, one of the warmer readings down in Miami. Then this afternoon we warmed up, but it wasn't all that hot. Generally in the upper 70s up to the north, around 80 in Joplin, a little bit warmer out to the west in Veneta and Pryor with 84 degrees this afternoon. And temperatures now are starting to fall down into the 60s everywhere. 62 in Fort Scott, 61 in Nevada, pick out your hometown, 60 in Fredonia, and 68 currently over in the Ville. Right now in Joplin, we're sitting at a temperature of, well, we're in the 60s right now, but we made it up to 83 today, which was slightly above normal, starting out at 59, which was also slightly above normal of 56, but we can get as cool as 37 degrees this time of year. So fall is definitely on its way. But you wouldn't know that looking at the September calendar. Look at all these days above normal, 20 days above normal. I forgot to update that. 20 days above normal, 4 below, and 1 normal day. And of course, last week we had 3 record highs last week. And also we're setting records as far as rainfall. This month, we're probably going to end up being the 3rd driest September in Joplin history. So not the kind of records we like to set. Radar is pretty much all clear right now. This is just picking up some moisture in the air right now. We're not expecting any rainfall across our area tonight. 67 with a calm wind, feels like 67, dew point of 42, and the pressure is currently steady on the hour. All right, let's take a look at the allergies because it's been getting better. It was 6.7 today, tomorrow 6.2. So if you're suffering from ragweed and chenopod, it's going to get better. So that's good news, at least on that front. Tonight we're going to see lows in the mid-50s once again across our area, even some upper 40s up to the north. Check out Chanute, 48 in Yates Center, Garnett, Mound City. Down to the south, a little bit warmer in Gravette with 51 and 53 over there in Bentonville. Then tomorrow afternoon, we're going to see temperatures in the 70s for highs. So another nice fall day across the area with northwesterly winds and drier conditions across our area. Then Monday night into Tuesday morning, chilly once again in the morning, generally lows in the 50s, a few 40s thrown in, sprinkled here and there, like Lamar with 48 and 46 in Nevada on southerly winds. Then on Tuesday afternoon, we're going to see temperatures rebounding up into the upper 70s to lower 80s across the area, and with the high pressure sitting right over the Columbus area by Tuesday afternoon. All right, let's take a look and see what's going to go on as we go into Wednesday morning. The winds are going to come out of the east and lows are going to be again in the 50s, maybe upper 40s up towards the north. All right, your next 7 days, it's going to be dry all the way through to next weekend with temperatures at least more normal around here. But then as we go into the early part of next week, I'm concerned about some of the data because we could get approaching record highs again early next week, again with no precipitation really in the forecast.
Hopefully we don't hit those record highs, but
I know.
Happy to see those 70s on our
Yes,
forecast.
love 70s. Open up the
Absolutely.
windows, enjoy it. It's going to be nice.
That fall weather, a little bit this week.
Yes, just a little bit.
All right, thank you, Sam.
No problem.
Boeing has a settlement to pay. We'll tell you why after the break. Well, I've got some good news for Costco members. Memberships won't increase, at least for now. The company usually raises its memberships every 5 years. Costco's regular yearly memberships cost $60, while executive ones are $120. In its latest earnings report, Costco saw a surge in new memberships, including executive subscriptions that now account for 44% of their total membership. The company also reported $72.9 billion in revenue. A Costco executive said the retailer hasn't hit its typical milestone for it to raise membership costs. Boeing is settling on an investigation over its 737 MAX airplanes involved in crashes and software issues. The Boeing company will pay a $200 million settlement with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The company allegedly made misleading statements over its 737 MAX planes that were involved in two crashes, one in Indonesia in 2018 and the other in Ethiopia in 2019. The two crashes claimed 346 lives. The SEC investigated how Boeing communicated and responded to investors when billions of dollars were lost. The 737 MAX planes were grounded for 20 months over its automated flight control systems. Some JetBlue non-union operation workers are looking to unionize. About 3,000 ground operations crews wanting to create a union and could be represented by the International Association of Mechanists and Aerospace Workers. The IAM says it will file the National Mediation Board. They say JetBlue workers have cited pay rates, benefits, and working conditions as reasons. JetBlue says it offers competitive pay, benefits, and a safe environment. 46% of JetBlue workers have union representation, including pilot and in-flight crew. Coming up next, what umbrellas, diamonds, and Super Bowls all have in common. Pop singer Rihanna has confirmed that she will be headlining the 2023 Super Bowl halftime show. The umbrella, diamonds, and Love on the Brain singer made the announcement today. The NFL also tweeted the big news. The Super Bowl will be held at the State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona on February 12th. The game normally draws one of the biggest single TV audiences of the year. Well, that's a wrap for our first 30 minutes on your KOAM News at 9. You'll want to stick around because we'll be back with a lot more after the break. Ukraine trying to shift its war with Russia into a new liberation phase as President Zelensky makes a direct appeal to the Russian people and called up to fight in a new mobilization order. Fox News correspondent Trey Yinks reports from Kyiv.
Ukrainian troops continue to recapture territory from Russian forces in the eastern and southern parts of this country, though the war is escalating and Ukraine is bracing for more dark days ahead. Ukrainian troops advance through the woods in the eastern part of their country. They're pledging to continue the fight against Russian occupiers. New video shows freshly liberated towns, though despite these gains, the price of war remains high. The Ukrainian army is losing more than 50 soldiers a day on average, and Russian forces are digging in across the front lines. Overnight, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky issued a statement speaking directly to those new Russians who are being called up to fight under partial mobilization orders. Russian commanders do not care about the lives of Russians. Zelensky says they just need to replenish the empty spaces left by the dead, wounded, and those who fled or the Russian soldiers that were captured. Russian leadership remains threatening toward Ukraine and the West as they double down on reasons for initially launching the invasion. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov spoke yesterday at the United Nations, criticizing the European Union and those who support Ukraine.
The United States and the European Union and NATO cannot claim to have a neutral status. They cannot assert that they are not participating in the conflict.
Some good news to report this weekend. 2 Americans who had been captured by Russian forces in the eastern part of this country as they were fighting alongside the Ukrainians have been released as part of a larger prisoner swap deal. They returned home yesterday to Alabama to reunite with their family. In Kyiv, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
Well, our thoughts are certainly with them. Now we move over to weather. Sam, what do you have for us?
Yeah, and now our thoughts turn down to the Caribbean with Ian, and Ian right now is expected to become a hurricane by Monday afternoon, a Category 1, passing just to the west of the Cayman Islands, then a Category 2 by Tuesday morning at around 1 o'clock in the morning with 105-mile-an-hour winds, and is expected to move across the western parts of Cuba, and you can see the models are pretty much in agreement with that path. Then it takes it up into the eastern Gulf of Mexico, a Category 4 storm. By the time we go into Wednesday morning with 130-mile-an-hour winds, this is going to create a lot of surf problems, a lot of storm surge on the eastern side of this thing, affecting all the way from Key West up to Fort Myers. Then as we go through the day, we're expecting by Tuesday afternoon or Thursday afternoon, a Category 2 storm moving into the Forgotten Coast of Florida, which is north of Tampa, but it's going to be very, very close. And we're going to have to watch this storm very, very closely. And of course, we'll have our forecast coming up in just a little bit.
Protests continue in Iran and across the world following the death of an Iranian woman in police custody. Demonstrators say they are fed up with the Iranian regime's strict rules for women. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff has the latest.
State media in Iran is reporting that over 40 people have been killed so far in the unrest, and the Iranian army has warned of continued confrontation, calling demonstrators enemies of the state. The protests were sparked by the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, who died after being detained by the so-called morality police for not properly wearing a headscarf or hijab. While Iranian authorities claim that Amini had suffered a heart attack, reports have indicated that she had been severely beaten.
This year is a year of blood. Saeed Ali will be toppled.
As the demand for a regime change now echoes in cities throughout Iran, women are defying Iranian law by removing their head coverings and cutting their hair. Solidarity protests are now underway throughout the world.
I cutting my hair because many of my sister in Iran, they gonna die maybe tomorrow because of hijab, and I don't want it and I hate it.
Here in Washington this weekend, protesters called on the White House to reject the Iranian regime.
And it is a test of the international community to stand with the people of Iran.
In addressing the United Nations General Assembly Wednesday, President Biden hailed the protesters, specifically the women of Iran, as brave. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said today that the U.S. is offering assistance.
We have taken tangible steps to sanction the morality police who caused this young woman's death. And we've taken steps to make it easier for the Iranian people to get access to the internet and to communicate with one another and with the world.
The White House says that while the administration does have concerns with Iran on the issue of human rights, efforts to revive the 2015 nuclear deal will continue. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Next, southern border concerns persist. We'll have more details after the break. As migrants keep crossing the southern border in record numbers, agents are working to stop human smuggling while seizing tens of thousands of deadly fentanyl pills that cartels are trying to get into our country. Fox News correspondent Alexis McAdams has the latest from Eagle Pass, Texas.
Every day, thousands of migrants cross here at the southern border, but the question is, where do they go once they get into the United States? Well, sources tell us it depends on how much the migrants are willing to pay the cartel. And now we're learning that some of those migrants are dishing out thousands of dollars to then be smuggled on private airplanes. Take a look here. You're looking at those new photos we got in from the Texas Department of Public Safety, finding 19 migrants on Friday inside of that private plane in McAllen, Texas. The migrants were from Central America, and they'd been in the United States staying at a stash house. Investigators tell us 3 cars pulled up to that airport in Texas and dropped off the migrants. That's when a concerned citizen saw it and called 911. This is the 3rd bust at a private airport in Texas just within 1 month, as humans are smuggled in, so are deadly drugs. Just the other day, CBP officers at the Nogales port of entry seized approximately 72,000 fentanyl pills that were hidden inside of gas tanks in a car. Also, there was about 50 pounds of meth inside, too. This is just one example of the massive amount of deadly drugs coming into the United States from Mexico. The medical examiner's offices near the border tell us they see these impacts every day, pointing to a spike in the number of overdose deaths from rainbow-colored fentanyl. Listen.
The last week, I have an individual, I am almost certain, I do not have the toxicology bat, but I am almost certain partook of this new colored fentanyl where it looks like kids' chalk and it looks fun and they're in rainbow colors. We expect it to come back to be a fentanyl death.
Here's a look at just how busy things are at the southern border. The crossings, the smugglings, the drug trafficking happening 24 hours a day, 7 days a week because it is a lucrative business. So who's behind these airplanes that are smuggling those migrants across the country? Sources tell Fox News it's the cartel. Reporting in Eagle Pass, Texas, I'm Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
Sam Lane joins us with another look at the forecast next. And later, the Kansas City Chiefs travel to Indianapolis to play the Colts. Danny Terza will have more in sports.
Well, friends, we had a beautiful day across the area to finish out the weekend, a beautiful fall day. Very nice indeed. Contrast to yesterday where we set a record high of 94 degrees. Things are a lot nicer this evening. Even down at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort in Seneca, Missouri. A pretty nice evening down there. Right now in Joplin, we were looking at a high of 83 today, which was a lot better than yesterday. The records today was 90 and 37. For the month, we've only had 0.4 of an inch of rain so far, and that is not good. In fact, we're probably going to end up being the third driest September in history, with Joplin coming in at around 0.4, which is around almost 4 inches below normal. And it's been that way for several months with the exception of August where we were 1.5 inches above. But it's been very dry all summer long and we desperately need the rainfall. Rain right now on radar, not to be found. It's pretty much clear. All of this is just moisture in the air that the radar is picking up. And it'd be nice if some of that moisture was falling out of the sky, but unfortunately it is not. 67 right now in Joplin. It feels like 67. The dew point is 42 and the pressure is currently steady. All right, let's take a look at the temperatures right now. Very comfortable. 59 in Pittsburgh right now for one of the coolest readings. 63 in Stockton, 67 in Carthage, 66 in Cassville, pick out your hometown, 60 over in Neodesha, currently on the hour. And the dew points, they're pretty low. So it's very dry out there as far as the dew points go. Upper 30s to lower 40s across the area. Check out Nowata. They have a dew point of 37 right now. So the air is very dry. And because we're in a drought situation, the fire danger is going to start increasing. So that's going to be a big concern as we go through time. And you can see on the dew point tracker, it's not even showing up on the dew point tracker because it's so dry out there. Your future track forecast looks like this. Lows tonight in the upper 40s to right around 50 degrees with northerly winds. And then tomorrow, lots of sunshine, so we'll see temperatures rebounding up into the upper 70s to lower 80s, especially down into Oklahoma. 75 up in Mountain City and 77 over there in Nevada. Then we go through Monday night into Tuesday morning. The winds kind of turn around to a more northeasterly direction and even southeasterly in some spots with lows in the upper 40s to right around 50 degrees. So another pleasant morning across the area. Then Tuesday afternoon, temperatures very pleasant once again, generally in the upper 70s to lower 80s across our area, with the ridge of high pressure sitting right on top of us, giving us very clear skies and very pleasant conditions. Then as we go through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, lows once again in the mid-50s with easterly winds across our area. And then as we go through the next 7 days, we're going to see the dry weather stick around. 77 tomorrow, 83 Tuesday, 75 Wednesday. And then as we go towards the weekend, it starts getting into the 80s once again. And then early next week, Jalen, we're getting close to record temperatures again, flirting with 90 degrees with no precipitation really in sight at this point. So we'll just have to wait a little bit longer on that rainfall.
For sure. So I grew up in the north. My birthday is October 3rd. Yeah. So there's been times where as a kid,
it snowed?
It snowed. So seeing these temperatures, I'm like, what in the world is going on?
No chance of snow in October here.
Yeah,
at least this year anyway.
All right, thank you, Sam. Right. And coming up in sports, the Kansas Jayhawks keep winning. We'll hear from their head coach. Plus, the Kansas City Royals put on a show in their final home game of the year.
Kansas City Chiefs are off to a 2-0 start this season. They're back on the road today for a Week 3 matchup against Indianapolis. The Colts still looking for their first win. They strike first Matt Ryan to Jelani Woods for a 1-yard touchdown. Later second quarter, Clyde Edwards-Helaire punches it in. Chiefs take their first lead, 14-10. To the fourth now, 30 seconds left in the game. Ryan connects with Woods down the middle for a 12-yard score. Colts on top. And not much time left for the Chiefs trying to get to the field goal range. Patrick Mahomes' pass is broken up, tipped into the hands of Rodney McLeod Jr. The interception seals the win for the Colts, 2017, the final.
For us as offense, we got to make it where those little mistakes don't cause a loss. I mean, we had multiple chances to get in the end zone. If we get in the end zone one time and so don't stall out in the red zone that second half, the game's over. So, I mean, it's just with the defense plays like this, the defense plays like they did today and they've played this whole season, we got to win these football games. I mean, our schedule gets no easier. We have a hard game, Sunday Night Football against Tampa next week with a great defense. So we have to get better quickly, and if we don't want these L's to start piling up. We want to make sure we get back on that winning train.
Missouri Southern won their third straight game on Saturday, topping Fort Hays State 25-24. The Lions are now 3-1 on the season. Here are a few notable performances from Saturday's game. Nathan Glades ran for 112 yards and a score. Trace Willite caught the game-winning touchdown pass, his first collegiate touchdown. And defensively, Richard Jordan Jr. tallied 9 tackles, plus he forced 2 fumbles, including one that set up Willite's go-ahead touchdown. Jordan now has 11 forced fumbles in his career, which sets a new school record. Pitt State is a perfect 4-0 on the year following a 14-13 win over Emporia State on Saturday. Caleb Lewis rushed for 117 yards and scored the go-ahead touchdown. The Gorillas' defense played a solid game. The Hornets trailed by 1 point in the fourth quarter, and Trent Thompson came up big for the Gorillas with a sack for a loss of 7 yards. That led to a missed field goal for Emporia State, and Pitt State hung on to win the game. The Kansas Jayhawks stay rolling this week, topping Duke 35-27 on Saturday. Quarterback Jalen Daniels accounted for all 5 touchdowns in the game. Kansas is now 4-0 for the first time since 2009. Head coach Lance Leipold says there's been a difference in recruiting now that the Jayhawks are gaining national attention.
People are paying attention. They're seeing change. I think we had a large group here today. Even some surprises and stuff to come in and take it in, and some have been people who have been here before, and they see a change. They see the crowd, they see the excitement, they see the potential of what this program can be, and it's exciting. And it's still going to take some work, but it's definitely been different the last couple weeks on the phone for sure.
The new AP poll was released today. The top 5 teams all stay the same. Oklahoma State remains at 8. The Cowboys had a bye week this week. They're 3-0 this season. Oklahoma drops 12 spots following their loss to Kansas State. And the Wildcats crack the top 25, now 3-1 on the season. They sit at number 25. Kansas in the conversation as well. They received the most votes among those outside the top 25. Kansas City plays their final home game of the 2020 season today. The Royals enter this afternoon's game with a 38-42 home record. Series finale against Seattle. Mariners extend their lead here in the 5th. Ty France slides it into right field. 2 runs come in. Seattle scores 8 runs in the inning, but guess what? Kansas City can top that. Here come the Royals, bottom of the 6th. Kansas City down 11-2. Mike Massey blasts a 2-run home run to right. Later in the inning, runners on the corners. Bobby Witt Jr. finds grass in deep right. 2 more score. Royals are within 4. Now Massey back up in the same inning. He goes the other way here. fourth RBI of the afternoon for Massey. That makes it a one-run game. And the very next batter, Ryan O'Hearn, lines it to right. It's a two-run double for the lead. What a comeback. The Royals score 11 runs in the sixth. Kansas City hangs on to win 13-12. St. Louis closes out a series against the LA Dodgers today. The Dodgers win the finale 4-1. Yadier Molina drives in the Cardinals' lone run of the afternoon off a single to left. That's a look at sports. We'll be right back.
A local celebrity seal waddles his way to a police station. A gray seal has been on the move in Beverly, Massachusetts. The seal, affectionately named Showbert by locals, started this journey in a freshwater pond before it decided it was time to relocate, this time waddling across the parking lot to the Beverly Police Department. Multiple agencies named Showbert's rescue, taking him to Mystic Aquarium for observation before releasing it back into the wild. Local officials say the seal was sassy, but appeared to be in good health.
Was he turning himself in for something?
I don't know.
Well, let's take a look and turn into the forecast. As we look at the forecast this coming week, we're going to see temperatures closer to normal and warm conditions. But next weekend, we could see temperatures returning back to more record levels as we head into the early part of next week, with temperatures close to 90 degrees and only an isolated storm possible on Monday, and that will probably be in the western sections. But it looks like the drought is certainly going to continue for at least some time to come. So, wow, we need some rain around here badly.
Yeah, that's been the theme of the summer. Next weekend, I saw Saturday is 82. We got a big game out here, Missouri Southern and Pitt State.
It looks like it's going to be great weather for that.
Yeah,
it doesn't look
kickoff is at 2 o'clock. Pitt State 4-0, Missouri Southern 3-1.
Yeah,
definitely going to be
it's going to be definitely a big game.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's our time for now. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you right back here next time. Thanks for making us part of your night.